Welcome back to part 2 of the Etsy Seller Spreadsheet video tutorial series. My name is Janet with Paper and Spark, and if you didn't join us for part 1, we walked through a little bit of an overview of how to use the Etsy Seller Spreadsheet and how to import your Etsy orders CSV from Etsy into the spreadsheet to automatically generate some important amounts on these light blue lines. If you're looking for the Etsy Seller Spreadsheet, it's for sale at paperandspark.com and also in my Etsy shop, Paper and Spark. So now let's discuss how to go about entering your expenses on these pink, yellow, and purple tabs down here. First, I want to note that for all your expenses, you should enter them as positive amounts. The spreadsheet already knows that they're expenses, and they're going to subtract them from your revenue for you. So don't enter anything as a negative here unless for some reason you have a refunded expense that you want to enter. Okay, so when we get started looking at these expenses, we've first got some selling expenses, and these are going to come from a few different places that aren't necessarily you just pulling your receipts and typing items in. Some of these we're going to need to pull from other sources like Etsy or PayPal. So let's first talk about where to get the information that goes on this lime green Etsy listing and transaction fee line. We previously used to be able to get this information from your bill in Etsy, but in October and November 2018, Etsy changed their billing system, both the timing and the way that you're actually billed, that you pay those Etsy fees, and the visual format of how you view your fees on Etsy. So I am showing you the up-to-date screen as of late 2018. I'm going to have a separate video all about the changes and the updates that were made. If for some reason if you bought the spreadsheet a while ago and you want to learn about the changes that were made, but if you're using the spreadsheet as of November 2018 or later, you've probably got this updated look and these instructions are going to apply to you. So you want to log into your Etsy account. Go to your Finances section under Shop Manager and then click on Payment Account to see your fees. Now you can scroll down and look for the monthly statement for whatever month you want to enter in your book. So I looked at the last 12 months, and then if I scroll down, I can look at the statement for any prior month within the past 12 months. Let's look at January 2018. So this information right here, your sales and credits, this is going to tell you your sales total minus the Etsy processing fee. That is minus the credit card processing fee that Etsy takes out immediately at the time of sale. It's 3% plus 25 cents per sale in the US. I know that the percentage can change depending on what country you're located in, but in the US it's 3% plus 25 cents. So these are your sales minus that amount. You are already importing this in when you do your Etsy orders CSV import that we covered in video 1, so you don't need to be concerned with this right here. We are going to enter amounts from the fees and taxes box over here on the right hand side. You might have several things showing up in this box. First, you will see your listing fees. That's the 20-cent per listing fee that you pay Etsy anytime you list a new product or you renew an existing product. You also will have the transaction fee. I like to call this Etsy's commission. It is the 5% commission that they take on your total sale amount. So keep in mind, you pay Etsy 3 different fees. A lot of us don't realize that. We've got the credit card processing fee that only shows up on your Etsy order CSV. It does not show up here. You've got the listing fee and you've got that 5% transaction or commission taken out of your sale as well. You likely will also see some other types of fees right here in this box. You will see your Etsy Plus or Pattern or Premium charges, those monthly fees taken out right here. You will see marketing sometimes, and that's going to include any sort of promoted listing expenses that you pay for, targeted campaigns with Etsy, like if you have one of those targeted coupon campaigns, Google shopping ads, etc. That will be here as well. And then finally, if you pay shipping for postage, And finally, if you pay shipping or postage labels through Etsy, that shipping expense is going to show up here as well. So now it is time for you to enter any of the expenses that you see here on your Etsy seller spreadsheet in the applicable location. So back on your Etsy seller spreadsheet, we are going to enter this information on the green Etsy listings and transaction fees, and maybe do some of it as part of your postage costs as well. The Etsy Direct Checkout is that credit card processing fee that is automatically taken in from your CSV when you do your import. So you've already taken care of entering that when you imported. Let's enter the Etsy listing and transaction fees for January. So I'm looking at my January monthly statement, and I've got my listing and transaction fees here. I'm going to simply enter this full amount, this $164.34, as the monthly amount that I paid for January. Since it's taken out at the time of the sale, you're fine to record it in January. You'd theoretically be looking at this on February 1st after Etsy has totaled up all those fees for you. So you can just enter the full amount that was taken out of all your sales throughout the month of January as one lump sum. Now, if you happen to have shipping here, you might want to enter that as two different totals. Take your total here. Let's say I had $50 of shipping here. I would want to enter the $50 of shipping as a postage expense, and it's fine to just enter it again as one lump sum. I'll say as of the end of the month, and you can do it just like that. Give it a date for the end of that month, the amount you actually paid. It's going to travel over here to this postage cost row. This sums it up for you, and it travels automatically based on the date you enter. And then I would want to actually enter my Etsy fees minus the shipping that I just entered. So if this included $50 of shipping, I'd really want to enter that fee amount minus $50, and that's what I would enter here. You also could even break it up even further if you wanted to put your marketing expense here on your advertising tab. You could do that the same way and enter the remaining amount as the Etsy listing and transaction fees. I personally think it's fine to put all that stuff right here in your Etsy fees row because it's all expenses being paid to Etsy. I do think it's a good idea to break out your postage fees so you can keep track of how much you're paying for shipping, but the rest is up to you. You just want to have this total amount in some shape or form entered in your Etsy seller spreadsheet so that you can deduct it as a business expense and lower your sales by those amounts. If you're curious about what's going on down here, this is a item by item breakdown of the numbers that are up here. So you'll see several different types. So you'll see several different types of items here. The transaction type is actually that 5% commission, that 5% fee that Etsy takes. The sale item is going to be your sale of the actual item you sold minus the credit card processing fee, getting you the net amount, and that is what is summed up here. It's all those net amounts together. You'll see your listing fees, you'll see the shipping expenses, and you'll see the marketing expenses too from time to time. So that is how you want to enter your Etsy fees for the month into your seller spreadsheet. Okay, so we've covered Etsy listings and transaction fees. We've already imported our Etsy Direct Checkout percentage. Now let's talk about your PayPal fees. Most of us are on the latest Etsy payments system where customers can check out with credit card or PayPal within Etsy's dashboard, and it's all integrated together. So if they check out with PayPal, it's likely not going directly to your PayPal account. It's going into your Etsy payments account and getting deposited into your bank account without touching your PayPal account. A few of you may be grandfathered in on the old system where you were able to have standalone PayPal, and if that's the case, you would have customers checking out with PayPal. Their payments would be going directly to your PayPal account. Again, That is not the majority of you at this point. Most of us are integrated, but you might still have standalone PayPal. But regardless, you very likely accept PayPal outside of your Etsy shop in some way, shape, or form. So if you take any sales via PayPal outside of your shop and you know that you have PayPal fees, I'm going to show you real quick how to pull that report in PayPal so you can enter your PayPal transaction fees right here. So this is a PayPal business account. What I'm about to show you is a report that's only available if you have a PayPal business account. If you're still using a personal PayPal account for your business, I highly recommend that you transition over to a business account. It's free, there's no downside, and you get better reporting and protection for your money. So once you're in your PayPal account, you click Reports up here. Then there's actually a couple different places you can find your total fees, but the quickest, easiest place is going to be Financial Summaries. Go to your financial summary under Financial Summaries and look at whatever month you want to know. So I'm going to look at September real quick, create reports, and then you can actually scroll down till you see this fees view. This is the amount of fees that PayPal took out of all the PayPal sales that I got in the month of September. So I would then go enter this $304.78 as my September PayPal fees. Easy peasy. And you would probably want to save this report, make a PDF copy or a print copy for your records so you know where you got this number from in case you ever need to back it up. One other final thing to mention while you're looking at this financial summary from PayPal is that if you do accept PayPal sales outside of Etsy, you want to record those in your spreadsheet as well. You want those to go in one of these custom revenue rows. And while you're in here, you can actually click on this sales activity credit, and it's going to break down a list of those sales for you. So if you want to enter those from this PayPal activity report, you can do that now. It all depends on where these sales are coming from. You might have a other import add-on from Paper and Spark that's going to automatically help you sum those up. You might want to use like the WooCommerce tutorial that I have if those sales are coming from something like WooCommerce. But if you have a few like one-off sales or custom invoices that you did via PayPal, then this is a good form of finding those and entering those in your spreadsheet now if you need to. If you do enter them, you can check out the type column to give you a little bit of a hint where the payment came from. And then if you do need to record it, you want to enter the gross amount. You already have brought in your fees from that report, from the fee row on that activity report. So now you just need to enter the gross sales amount. One last thing while you're here in your financial summary, since we're talking about entering expenses in this video, you might use your business PayPal account to buy some stuff for your business. So if you scroll down to the purchase activity area, this might be where you've got some expenses that you need to record for your business. So again, you can click on that number. It's going to drill down into a transaction by transaction lit view for you, and you can enter these expense payments, assuming that's what they are, in the applicable place on your spreadsheet. So you can enter them on whatever expense tab they go on. I'm going to show you a few examples of entering expenses shortly, but just know that this is also a good source of expense transactions that you don't want to forget to record if you use PayPal to purchase things for your business. Okay, so now that I've talked about how to enter a few of these special selling expenses here, I'm going to talk about all the rest of the expense categories that we've got and how to enter those, which is pretty straightforward. Keep in mind that you've got a couple of custom lines here. So if you sell on like Amazon or some other venue as well, and you have listing fees for that venue, you can enter those here. And then you've got your product expenses and your business expenses and a few custom lines for your business expenses, not to mention the fact that you have another tab here where you can enter miscellaneous stuff. So I've got a few of the most popular expense categories here. For all these expenses, you should just go through weekly, preferably, if not monthly, and enter your receipts into these tabs. So the first step is just to determine which tab the expense applies to. If it doesn't have an obvious home on one of these choices, you can either enter it on the other tab or as a custom expense line. Once you choose a tab to enter it on, you'll want to enter the date, and it needs to be in this format, numerical format with forward slashes for the spreadsheet to work correctly. You'll enter the dollar amount, the vendor, a description if you want to, the source if you have multiple ways of paying for things, just to make backing up that expense a little easier, and an other column if there's some other type of info that you'd like to track. And that's pretty much it for entering your expenses. It's pretty straightforward. Now, one of the helpful things about these expense tabs, all of them do it. It'll be even more helpful once you have, lots and lots of data here. But you can sort and filter on these expense tabs. In order to do that, you would just use the any of the drop-down arrows right here. So if you wanted to sort, that shows your data in a certain order according to the input that you put in. So let's say I'm going to sort by vendor. Okay, so now I've got all my vendors, all my expenses in alphabetical order by vendor. Or let's say I want to filter. That means I only want to see certain data. So let's say I only want to see everything that I paid for Facebook advertising. So I'm going to filter to see only my Facebook advertising expenses. Okay, so now I can easily see where my expenses are going and how much I'm paying for them, and I can mess around with the data to be most helpful for me. Okay, so if I want to undo a filter, I can just hit clear filter, and now I get all my data back. And I'm going to keep things in chronological order because that's just what makes most sense to me. But that's something cool that you can do with the data that you enter on your expense tabs. I have a lot of really important notes about entering your expenses and categorizing your expenses on the PDF instructions for this spreadsheet that I encourage you to read. I'm not going to read them out loud to you in the video series because you can read them, but make sure to check that out. So that's it for dealing with your expenses on the Etsy Seller Spreadsheet. Check out the next video, which is going to be all about how to use your sales tax tab.